There from University of 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃, Professor 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃, Chairman of ACCIMT, Engineer 𝗏𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃, General covering up duties of ACCIMT, and all the technical heads, all staff members. On behalf of ECRISA 2026 Organizing Committee, I warmly welcome you all to this session. So this is our fourth concurrent capacity building program which runs in parallel to ECRISA 2026. As all of you know, we have closed our submissions for papers now and we are in the reviewing process. So before starting today's sessions, I would like to thank everyone who submitted papers and everyone who helped us spreading the news, and everyone who helped the authors and encouraged them to submit papers. Your support is truly invaluable for us, and thank you very much. We are delighted to share that we have received more papers than we expected. So thanks again for your support. ECRISA, the International Conference on Emerging Concepts and Research in Sustainable Adaptation, will be held on 29th and 30th January, and this is ACCIMT's very first international research conference. So our engineers and scientists have been doing remarkable job in their research and innovations. So this will be a great platform for them to showcase their research and innovations to the world and gain recognition back. So we are organizing this capacity building program to add more value to their great work. So we are in the fourth concurrent capacity building program today, and we are honored to have our very special guest, Professor Roshan Gragel from University of 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃, and he is the CEO of Sri Lanka Research and Education Network. And before introducing the speaker, I would like to invite Professor 𝗟𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗏𝗃 to speak a few words. Over to you, sir.
To develop capacity building and also leadership qualities in addition to gain knowledge. I suppose that this also being on YouTube. So, Sir again is a very good friend of mine. Actually, he is the CEO of Learn Network. That you know that we all use internet in all the universities, and we use this network. And they are very also tomorrow. So this lecture title is Leveraging AI for Research Innovations. We explore how artificial intelligence can enhance scientific research and innovation. And there were some stories that scientists have discovered medicine for cancer using AI. So now, of course, because of this AI, IT jobs are diminishing because it's maybe the ratio of 4 to 1, because with AI support, you can develop an app within 3-4 days without using much human sources. So we have to adapt this environment. Being the apex body of excellence in electronics and IT, government arm. Artist Clarke Institute staff. We have to change our adaptability. So this lecture will be a very valuable one for us.
First floor board room.
Thank you, Professor 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏, for accepting this invitation and being with us today, in spite of your schedule, and having the AGM of the land tomorrow. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. And it is my great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today, Professor 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏, and a leading academic and visionary in the field of computer engineering and artificial intelligence from the University of 𝗟𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏. Professor 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏 currently serves as a professor in the computer engineering and the consulting in the CEO of the Lanka Research and Education Network, the National Research and Education Network of the Sri Lanka. Under his leadership, LEARN has played pivotal role in the strengthening digital connectivity and research collaboration across the higher education sector. And Professor 𝗟𝗃𝗏𝗏 is eminent academic researcher whose contribution in significant advance in the field of computer engineering, artificial intelligence, the Internet of the Things, wearable computing, and bioinformatics. His research is excellent, has been recognized in the locally and the internationally, including 2025 IEEE Computer Society Mary Quiñones Computer Science and Engineering Undergraduate Teaching Award and National Educator Gold Award 2024, and the recognition as the best scientist in computer science in Sri Lanka by the AD Scientific Index from 2030 to 2025. Beyond his academic achievement, Professor 𝗟𝗃𝗏𝗏 has made significant national contribution from the sharpening Sri Lanka AI strategy and advancing virtual and hybrid education to leading initiative and foster innovation and inclusivity in higher education sector. Today, we are privileged to have him share with his insight on topic that continuous and redefine the future of research and innovation in leverage in AI for research innovation. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Professor 𝗟𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. Let's start. I hope I'll share my screen first. So right, let's start. We'll start with a video clip. So as you know, I mean, I don't have to tell you, like the video also showing, AI is used in almost all different fields, including all the type of research you might be doing. AI can be useful, right? So if you take this video, even the video we were thinking earlier, AI can't do a lot of soft sort of things like music, creating music. In fact, the music for this whole video is composed by AI. Although it was played by people, it was played by the London Symphony, but composed by AI. So it can do a lot of things, starting from composing music to medicine, finding cures for diseases and so on. So we are going to discuss something in that nature. At the same time, this sort of AI tools, starting from recently, are getting so popular, right? So you might know, so if you look at this graph, you might see mostly others are all these social media or media related online tools like Netflix. Those who are of my age, older, also might know Facebook, not the younger generation, right? And also the younger generation might know Instagram, right? So ChatGPT is there in that list. This is how long these tools took to reach 1 million users, right? So how fast they reach 1 million users. Facebook took about a year, 10 months. Instagram took about 2 months, 2 and 3 months. ChatGPT in 5 days, right? So in 5 days it reached 1 million users, and as we speak, there are about 500 million users using it, right? So many users every day using it, like there are a lot more people, but everyday users. So that's the where we are, particularly in terms of ChatGPT like generative AI tools. So today what we are going to discuss is not everything about AI, but a specific field, generative AI, and how it can be used for research and innovation, right? So not really about researching AI, but using AI, generative AI, for any research work, right? So that's the idea. So any research work that you are doing, the usual pipeline of a research project, including innovation, where we can use AI tools and how we can use it. That's the idea for today's session, right? So that I hope will be useful for everyone who is doing any research. Even if you are not doing research, even if you are doing some other work, you still can use most of what we are discussing here, or what we are going to discuss here today. So this is the plan for the next 1.5 hours or so. I'll quickly give an intro to what AI and what research is very quickly, and then we'll discuss about AI in research. When I say AI, I am specifically here talking about generative AI, not every different type of AI systems. You know, like AI is, when we are introducing, you will know it's a reasonably old field in the like technology or the modern technology. But we'll only be talking about generative AI, and then we'll also talk about when you talk about how we can use a technology in any field like research, what are the challenges, right? So there are a large number of challenges we all had to face and facing, and how we can be careful about it, and with the challenges, how can we be considerate about those challenges and do better, and I'll make some concluding remarks. So that's the plan for the day. So we'll start with what is a very simple big picture view of AI. How many of you do AI related research? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, some of you, right? So in general, in a very layman term, what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is like the definition goes, development of systems, machines that can perform tasks that usually require human-like intelligence, right? So when the term artificial intelligence or AI was coined, which was about 60 plus years ago, what we thought was human, the intelligent animal, and the most intelligent animal, and then can we make machines that are like human, the most intelligent animal, right? So the idea of this idea is changing, meaning now the researchers are in an opinion it's possible to build intelligence that is better than human intelligence, right? So that can be better, or maybe there can be some entity like natural or not. So in this case not natural, artificial, can be better than human intelligence, right? So but then the definition originally is about emulating or representing human intelligence, because we thought that's the best out there. Maybe it's not completely utilized, but the best out there. So that's where we started, and the field AI or artificial intelligence took a good turn, and lot of things happened since the beginning of this machine learning idea. The idea is that earlier artificial intelligence is designed in a way we program machines. So we focused on programming machines because that is what we thought machines we should do. We should like tell what it to do something, right? So program a machine. But later we realized people are not really getting programmed to be intelligent. They are learning. So they look at what's happening, they look at data, they look at what other people are doing, what others are telling you, and so on, and then they learn. So later the idea of machine learning is to build a machine like human brain, how the human brain will learn. So we don't build the process, we build a system like human brain. So artificial neural network, or ANN in short, is a computer or a software representation of human brain. And so we just are building the human brain, that's architecture of a human brain, and then we say okay, so the brain is built and let it learn the same way how the human brain is learning, or any other brain for that matter is learning. So that's the idea of machine learning, and it went into more detailed, I'll not go into details, deep learning. So generative AI is an outcome of the research done on deep learning. That's all I'll go into. With this particularly machine learning, there is a lot of data involved, because the learning happens through for people it happens through observing, collecting data in various forms through our senses. Same way computers can also get data like that and get learned, and therefore the importance of data became very popular. So there are different fields, as you might know. Data sciences is a field, big data is something about lot of data, and with the data collected we also can realize we can do lot more when we have data. We also can make informed decisions when we have data. If we have proper data, we can make decisions without just guess game. We can really know like this, if this is what we can do. I'm sure you know enough about such things from a center like where you are, right? So data is the key for all this happen. So that's the very simple overview, and with that what happened is this generative AI, which is in research it's about 10 years old, but in production, in use, it's very new. In last 3-4 years, 3 years plus, we have been using ChatGPT, made it very popular. We have been using generative AI for generating text, generating anything else, video, audio, images, or even programs, like we were already discussing, right? So can AI generate computer programs, or can AI generate a new cure for diseases? All that are becoming so and so popular, right? So sorry, that's paused. Yeah. So just to give you some history, not to like learn history, but to understand what has happened in the past. The idea of artificial intelligence, or a machine can have intelligence, it all started 1942 or 1950. 1942 is when you might know World War II, the Enigma machine, and it was the British scientist or the mathematician was the name of Alan Turing, was given the task of building a machine to break the Enigma code in World War II. Enigma code is an encryption technique used by the Nazis to communicate data, so that when you interrupt data you don't know what's going on, or some information, right? So about an attack, about the army and various other things. So Alan Turing started building a machine, and that is also attributed to one of those things that ended World War II earlier. There were other things, but one of those things. And while doing this, Alan Turing realized that it's possible for a machine to have some intelligence like us, and in 1950 he wrote this seminal paper that is about how we can identify whether a machine has intelligence. So the paper is about machine intelligence, whether a machine can have intelligence, and how do we test? How do we test to see whether a machine is having intelligence? That is what is known as the Turing test. That was in a paper 1950. So the Turing test is very simple. What it says is you have a tester and then you have two rooms closed, unknown to the tester. In one room you have a person, in the other room you have a machine. And if the tester can't really differentiate, the tester can talk to both. Let's say tester can text to both places, send messages and receive responses from both rooms, right? So one room person, a smart person, other room a machine. If the tester doesn't know which one is the person and which one is the machine, then the machine has intelligence. That's the simple idea that, so that basically the machine can pretend like a person. So then the machine has intelligence, right? So that was the test that was proposed. Interestingly, this test, the machines were not able to pass this test until last year. Interestingly, right? So last year researchers have again tried Turing test with the latest AI systems that they can build, and the latest AI systems can pretend actually better than people that they are people, right? So in fact, like the latest test which was published last year, you can go and check, where the testers identify the machine as more people than the people. So they had done the test 200 times repeated, right? So more times the tester think machine is the person compared to the person is the person, right? So meaning like machines are doing really well in terms of pretending as people, right? So by the way, these are very limited tests, as you might imagine, right? So we are putting something inside unknown places and we are communicating by text messages, right? So they can do really well there. So that has already happened. So the test was prepared 75 years ago. Since then a lot has happened, things like John McCarthy, right now he is in Canada, so he is considered the father of AI. This is happening in UK and the other one is happening in North America, and he the one actually coined the term AI, artificial intelligence, right? So not machine intelligence but artificial intelligence, right? So similar terms, we can argue that they are different, but we will not go into that discussion. And then lot of things have happened. The one interesting thing, as you can see, very early in 1964 we built the very first chatbot, something like ChatGPT. We built the very first one in 1964, very rudimentary. I remember using Alice, which became very popular in, that is 1995, and since then it has been there for a while. But there were a lot of other things happening since then. You can see like Deep Blue is a computer that won the chess championship in 1997, and you can see there are other systems built which are considered to be having some emotional intelligence, so understand emotion, voice recognition features and so on, right? So a lot has happened like this. Something interesting happened which is not in the timeline and I wanted to just highlight is related to this deep learning, which is a company who is even now very popular in news. By the way, it's not Google, obviously Google is popular, but the company who built this software called AlphaGo, they built it using what is known as deep learning. So what they did is they built a software for a game engine or a game. The game is called Go. It's a Chinese board game very similar to chess, but much more complicated. In fact, a Chinese board game has 10 to the power 170 odd combinations. A chess game has 10 to the power 40 or 48 combinations, right? So much more. When the chess game was played and won, like I mentioned earlier, somewhere in 1997, here the scientists or the researchers were thinking, they tried a lot for the Go game, but they realized it's not possible because of the number of combinations. It's not possible to build a computer with such many combinations and memory and all that. But later with deep learning, we realized it's possible to build a machine that can learn like people and beat the Go champion. That happened in 2016-17. And also when they build the AlphaGo game, it was built by a company called DeepMind, and DeepMind, what they realized, they were showing, like you should go and look at this very interesting problem areas. What they are showing is the DeepMind AlphaGo game can play or learn and play any game. In fact, a game like chess, it can learn from nothing in 3 hours and become a master in 3 hours if you have the data. So the what is given to the game are data about the previous games. This is the board. If the board is like this, if you make a move like this, you win. If the board is like this, you make a move like this, you lose. Right? So that sort of information you give, and it learns from that. Same for the Go game. So that's how these games were developed, and interestingly, because the computers are very fast, they also can learn by playing. You know, like they can start from a board, 2 computers, they can just make a move like this, other one makes a move something else, and then they continue playing so fast to see what the end is. So they can develop, create data, prepare data so quickly by playing. So all these things happen. I'm talking a lot about games, but it's not just about games. Lot more interesting things happen. One such thing with the same company, the DeepMind company, is the AlphaFold. AlphaFold is a Nobel Prize winning software or a system that was built by the same company, but obviously with some others from chemistry. So the 2 chemists, and also David Barker, who is the computer scientist. So they build a software called AlphaFold. What it does is it folds protein sequences, right? So protein sequences, folding protein sequences, meaning you take the protein, you hope you know the protein sequences of amino acids, and you can represent them in a computer. And by 2020, with using lot of protein sequencing machines, with 3rd generation and new generation protein sequencing machines, there are about 1 million protein sequences that are identified. But folding, meaning finding the structure, the 3D structure of a protein sequence, apparently takes one protein sequence takes about, a protein sequence is about I don't know, maybe 100,000 amino acids, right? So the structure takes about 1 PhD time apparently. So if somebody enrolled for a PhD in molecular biology or bioinformatics, go and do his or her PhD to figure out what the protein sequence, like the structure is of a sequence, right? So but this software folded or identified the sequence, identified the structure of all 1 million protein within a year, right? So within a year, all of them are done. So no more 1 million PhDs, right? So so that happened, and therefore they got like the Nobel Prize in 2024 for chemistry. The company didn't stop. By the way, the company is like called, I'm talking about a company called DeepMind, but way early it was bought by Google. That is why even this New York Times title says Google. So Google is the one owning the company. Even recently they have built, and they are talking about a software called 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗲𝗿. If you are known, like this year they are talking about something called 𝗟𝗲𝘃. So they have built something by integrating all the different information on Earth, not just the map, but the weather and other sensor information, whatever the public information that is available, video recordings, CCTV inputs, all that they have collected, and they are building a software to understand the Earth in a very different way, right? So that, I think that it's still not publicly available, but some have access to it, called 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗃𝗏. So things are happening in a very advanced fashion. That is what I wanted to highlight. So with that, I actually wanted to dive into the next topic, which is how you can use generative AI in research. Before we do that, I have been talking for a while. I'll play a small video of an idea of a small project where how things like generative AI can be used.
Isn't life about what we experience, what we smell?
Can I eat this? Can I eat this? Yes, dry fruits are low in sugar.
What we hear? What we see?
Capture this. Capture this. Sleeping. Sleeping.
And what we feel?
Sorry, the sound and the video is not going well with Zoom, but the idea is a new type of communication device, that is what they call it. You can see it's just worn on the somewhere on a cloth, a small device called AI pin. It is having the usual phone capabilities, and you can and also it can it is connected to actually it's connected to OpenAI's ChatGPT, same engine, large language model. So it can communicate, we can communicate with it, it can like project things, it can answer questions, it can answer calls, and also it has a small projector which and also the sensors to, you can like project it to somewhere and type and give inputs and so on. So this company was built by my ex-Google employee, Apple employee. Unfortunately, the company is no longer active. It claimed bankruptcy last year, but because it was so expensive, and this device is supposed to be somewhere like $900, right? So not many people are interested in buying it, but the idea is cool, right? So idea is interesting and very different, right? Because we don't have to look at screens anymore. It's more intrusive. Whether it's good or bad is up to discussion, but that sort of things are happening, and it's coming everywhere. So here is more data on how AI is in different fields. These are different specific applications doing better for certain benchmarks compared to human performance. The one line there is human performance, and different AI systems, as you can see, they are above human performance in terms of benchmarking, right? I hope you know what I mean by benchmarking. So they are better. Like for example, if you take things like reading comprehension, the tools that are built for reading and understanding, how do we know whether a tool reads and understands? Is by asking questions. So you ask questions and it gives answers. So in fact, AI tools can do give answers better than human, right? So they are somewhere there, right? So this is, by the way, this is a report annually prepared by Stanford, if I am right. So they have an AI report, and this was from the year 2023, if I am, and then there should be another slide. Yeah, so this is the latest. So this is the 2025 report, which has data up to 2024. And you can see again they have added more things into it. By 2024, there are things like multitask language understanding, competition level mathematics. In fact, all these are new things that are being developed, new tools that are being developed. An interesting other tool is PhD level science questions. Okay, so these are things relatively now AI tools are doing better than human, right? And by the way, these are very this is like not the general AI tools that you all have access to. These are like specifically designed, specifically trained, and specifically and benchmarked, right. So those who are doing research, you will all know what benchmarking means, right. So how benchmarking can be done and how it can also be maybe manipulated, right. So anyway, so that's that, but still this is as per this year's report, AI index report. Only one thing that they have reported in that list that is still not doing as good as human is multimodal understanding and reasoning. So we are still good at multimodal, getting input from multiple modes, various different inputs, and then use it to understand what's going on and also to reason, right. So that AI tool still can't do. We haven't built any AI tool. It's also not easy to build an AI tool with multiple mode of inputs, and for example like us or anything else. So that's still not there. So this is just to show you that individually it's possible to build and fine tune and optimize tools so that they can perform better than people. So this is also on another side, this is also very important in terms of what it is doing to the world and its economy and the well-being of people and so on. One aspect is the economy. World economy is expected to increase, or AI is expected to add about $15 trillion to by 2030 in the next 5 years to AI. AI is supposed to add to the world. As you know, that is a lot of money compared to a country like our GDP, which is just $80 billion, right. So even if we can get a small portion of it in our day-to-day activities, in whatever we are doing, in our productivity, in a research institutes like yours, we will be able to make a big difference to Sri Lanka. So that's an opportunity that we have. AI is bringing us, and it's accelerated particularly because of things like generative AI, and also what is known as the natural language processing. Now that we don't really need experts to program AI or use AI, anyone can use AI, right. So that's a benefit, right. So because of the natural language processing barrier that is bridged, so it's possible for us to now communicate with AI as long as we know how to formulate and communicate. We can communicate better. Anybody can communicate better. Anybody who can communicate better can communicate with an AI system because of the natural language bridge that bridge that is built. So let's see how we can use AI in research and innovation. I just finished an intro, like an overall idea, motivation, why AI will be changing everything and why it is useful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a lot of examples of research and innovation space and how generative AI tools are used and can be useful, right. So when you talk about research, here is one way of looking at it. This is coming from the Cornell University, and they are talking about research as a 4-quadrant life cycle. Quadrant A, you have research, conception and execution. So most of what we do in a typical research center comes here, right. So a more research oriented center where we will be conceptualizing research and also doing the research. Obviously when we do research, the next thing that we also do is dissemination, whether we present it somewhere in different forums like the conference you're talking about, or publish it in some journals, and anything in between, right. So any communication we do with other researchers about the finding and so on is dissemination, right. So that's the next thing. So these two is what we normally do in a typical research center, but we also go beyond, right. Say for instance, we do research translation, the innovation aspect of it, or bring it to the mass and like make it a development project. So that comes here. So when you do development or translation, you also earn money or reputation funds that can be put back into research. And also obviously when you do that, you also have to worry about the compliance, the ethical aspect of it and various others, particularly when it goes to masses or become a development project. So then you have funds and you can go in the cycle, right. So that's the idea of the research life cycle. We will look at certain examples, particularly in the first two areas. I'll focus more on there, but some of the things that we are going to discuss are common to all four areas. But I'll be mostly focusing on A and B in terms of the things that we can do with AI or generative AI for those activities that are going to be under AB. Before I go there, here is more statistics. Sorry, I like numbers. I believe you all like numbers as well. So more numbers. This is coming from a study that was done by OpenAI and published in a reputed journal called PLOS ONE. I think it was published early this year. The study was from last year. So the study is about global study to date on how higher education students are using ChatGPT is the study, right. So they have done the study with about 24,000 students, 23,000 students in 109 countries. It's easy to do for OpenAI because they are using they are giving ChatGPT and selling ChatGPT and so on. So, but the point is, what I wanted to highlight here is, as per the study, they have identified the different type of activities. The activities are listed here where ChatGPT is used. The bar chart here is the percentage of students who claim they use ChatGPT for this particular activity. So here brainstorming, generating new ideas is about 30%. 1/3 of the 23,000 students say they are using ChatGPT for brainstorming. Summarizing, the second highest. Research assistance, academic writing, study assistant, translating, personal assistance, coding assistance, proofreading, calculating help, mathematics and so on, personal writing, creative writing. So creative writing, as you can see, small. So these are the percentage of students who have claimed they are using it for one of these activities. Like if you take academic writing, about 20% of the students say they are using it for academic writing. That's one number. The other number you see here is the student perspective of how fast they can do the task now by using ChatGPT. How fast, right? So you can see that was in times a number. So they say like brainstorming, now they can do it in about 2.76 times faster. So about 3 times faster they can do. So earlier if it takes 3 months or 1 month to do, now you can do it in a week or 1.5 weeks. If it takes 10 hours to do, now you can do it in 2.5 hours, or sorry, 5 hours or 4 hours, whatever, right. So like that, this is the perception from students, right, not exactly calculated anything like that, but perception. Those are numbers, and the point to highlight is, I hope you also feel if you use it right, you can do things faster while maintaining. So by the way, you can do this much faster. It's not like 2 times, right. So if you don't verify, if you don't check what's going on, you can do it like 100 times faster maybe, right. But that's not the point. Why it is only 2 times faster or 3 times faster is because you are going to use these tools, but you are still going to verify all this. That is why it's about 2 to 3 times faster, but still it's much faster, right. So that's the outcome of this study, and I just want to highlight that before going to some examples. So I'm going to talk about a few areas, like I said in the first 2 quadrants, about on how we can use these tools, and I'll also specifically show and highlight few tools, right. So I'll start with something very generic, everybody using. When you are planning a research, something that you immediately want to do is a literature review. A literature review can be of various nature, depends on how detailed you want to go into the review, right. It can be just like a iterative or like a integrated review, or it can be a systematic review, it can be of various different type of reviews. So any review you can use AI tools to support, and there are many tools, right. So why AI tools are good for review, I don't think I had to explain, but it's easy for us to like things like organize or even to find more research papers, right. So when we started doing research, myself when we started, or both of us when we started doing research, it's a big trouble think of research for the young crowd. Think of research when we didn't have Google Scholar or Google for that matter, right? So those are times when we started research, and finding papers, finding research articles which are connected to our research is a big task, right? So we had to go to libraries, if you know what they are, right? I mean physical libraries, not the libraries in the computer, right? And find these papers, and then some papers will find and others will not. And if you want to find another paper, again you have to go through a lot of documents, and sometimes they are not there. You had to ask from another library somewhere, and so on. Even if not just in Sri Lanka, anywhere, like I did my PhD in Sydney, but it's the same there, right? So that's where we started. But now things are not anymore like that, as you know, like Google search and all that, and Google Scholar and all the other repositories have changed. Scopus and whatnot has changed it a lot. But now it's taking one more step, right? These tools are making it even better and easier, right? Because now you have so much of research and data out there and papers out there. So I think it's impossible for us to do literature survey without using a tool. Whether it's an AI tool, that's a secondary, but we had to use tools. But then now we are also talking about AI tools. Right? So let me just pass on, but I'll highlight these tools and I'll spend more time explaining how you can use these tools specifically. So first I'll go through a few more ideas. So one is under planning, literature review is one, where you can use specific tools. I'll show you how to use them soon. And next, even to come up with ideas, like when you have research literature review done, if you can find some gaps, and then if you want to figure out what you want to do there, which part of the research you can continue and which one will be useful and not. Usually how it is done is by you with a mentor or a supervisor, you talking together and figuring this out, or you are in a research group, few others who are seniors to you, who are juniors to you, we brainstorm, we discuss, sit and talk, and go and present it to places. That's how it normally works. But now we have a reliable, if you use properly, a reliable research partner which is in the form of an AI tool. So AI tool can be used for this ideation and hypothesis generation. So we can use AI tools for those. Generic type of AI tools, they also have specific features. I'll show some of them a little later. So where we can use it, right? Let's get into some tools. One such tool is this tool called, I'm sure most of you are familiar, a website called Connected Papers. So connectedpapers.com is the website, and what this tool does is you can just start with one paper, you just find one paper and give the paper to the tool, and the tool will find a graph like this, a graph with nodes of, say for example here we are talking about this particular paper is what I put as the search, and that paper is there, and all the other papers that are closer to it are also there in that graph. And the graph has few things. Without me explaining, maybe I have a small video on the next slide. I'll show you that so that it's not me talking, someone else talking. But in fact, like this tool, this small video, YouTube video clips talks about two different tools. One called the Connected Papers, another one called Research Rabbit. Both of them do some similar tasks but also differences. Let me play the video. Oh, it's coming.
Both platforms aim to simplify the process of navigating through research papers and identifying relevant literature. Let's start with Research Rabbit. Research Rabbit is a cutting-edge AI-powered research tool that is poised.
Shall we? I know this is going to Zoom. Are there anybody in Zoom outside? If not, maybe we can turn off, because the sound is coming from my laptop and also from your speakers. Okay, I'll reduce mine, and then can you increase yours? Yeah, if you can increase yours. If not, those who are here hear both and they are getting confused. Okay. Projector sound. I'm reducing it for now.
Save time and enhance the efficiency of discovering and organizing scholarly content. To use Research Rabbit, first you need to create it.
Okay. On when? All right.
And for today, we are going to compare Research Rabbit and Connected Papers, two prominent tools in the realm of literature exploration and academic research. Both platforms aim to simplify the process of navigating through research papers and identifying relevant literature. Let's start with Research Rabbit. Research Rabbit is a cutting-edge AI-powered research tool that is poised to revolutionize the way academics and researchers conduct literature reviews and explore academic papers. By bridging various research databases and offering advanced research capabilities, Research Rabbit aims to streamline the research process, save time, and enhance the efficiency of discovering and organizing scholarly content. To use Research Rabbit, first you need to create an account. Visit the Research Rabbit website and locate the sign up or registration option. Fill in the required information such as your name, email address, and password to create your account. Verify your email address to activate your account and gain access to Research Rabbit's features. Add papers. Click on the option to add papers within the Research Rabbit platform. Select a reference paper that aligns with your research topic or interests. Explore related papers by clicking on author names in the interactive graph feature and add them to your collection for further review. Utilize graph features. The interactive visualizations in Research Rabbit allow you to visually explore connections between authors and their works. Clicking on author names within the graph enables you to quickly add relevant papers to your collection, facilitating a more efficient research process. Organize your collection. Create multiple collections within Research Rabbit to categorize papers based on different themes, topics, or sections of your research. Organizing your collection helps you maintain a structured approach to managing and reviewing academic papers effectively. Save time and stay organized. By centralizing all added papers in one location within Research Rabbit, you can save time typically spent researching through multiple sources or tabs. Having all your research materials saved and accessible in one place ensures better organization and efficiency in your research workflow. Now, let's talk about Connected Papers. Connected Papers is a versatile tool that offers researchers a comprehensive overview of research fields, ensuring they do not miss key papers, providing insights into the dynamics between different areas of study, and facilitating exploration of prior and derivative work. Suitable for academia and applied science, this tool helps researchers and applied scientists efficiently explore relevant academic papers.
By entering a paper or interest into the search bar, users can generate a visual graph of related papers, analyze connections between papers, view details in citations, and identify keywords in their research field. This capability, combined with its ability to handle large volumes of newspapers, enables users to stay up to date with the latest publications, making connected papers a valuable resource for research and development workflows. In conclusion, both 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗲𝗏 and connected papers offer valuable tools for researchers seeking to streamline their literature review process and discover relevant academic papers efficiently. While 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗏 focuses on personalized recommendations and comprehensive search capabilities, connected papers excels in visualizing research connections and relationships. Researchers can benefit from utilizing both platforms to enhance their literature exploration and stay informed in their respective fields. I hope this video is helpful for you guys. Thank you for watching. And
so like I was saying, the two tools, connected papers and research rabbits, are a bit different. One, both of them you can use. Both of them have some graph representation of papers. If you take research rabbit, it is free, first thing, that's completely free, and but it has only limited access. Like for instance, if you submit a paper, it will only find the cited papers or the references, right? But then if you take connected papers, it's not like that. It just go through the keywords and find more papers, all the content in your paper, and find other papers. So it's a bit different in terms of how they are working, but both are useful. So in addition, there are also more tools. I am going to introduce few others which can go beyond just finding papers, right? So with the first two tools are just to find papers, and also to like then you can go through the papers and take summaries and so on. But here are tools that you can use to do more, like find summarizing and so on. So the one tool that is very popular among research is called 𝐿 on the website called 𝐿. What it can do, you can basically ask a research question or put a topic. So I have put a topic like role of generative AI in education, and the free version, this is again, it has a premium version and a free version. The free version of the tool will give you for this topic a very short review of 4 research papers on that topic. So this is the summary of 4 research papers written down, going through the paper, written down here, right? So it says generative AI, Gen AI or generative AI is increasingly being utilized in education, with nearly half of students turning it into an academic assignments, and use it for academic assignments, and various other things are mentioned. So that's a summary, and also it allows only up to 4 papers to be listed at a time when it is the free version, but paid version has more access. In addition to a summary like this, we also can find other summaries. Usually what we use in a literature review, when we make literature reviews, we make tables, we make like different comparisons and so on. All that it can do, like you can see the title of the paper, we can add abstract, summary, we can add more fields like the method used in the paper, the results of the paper, all such things we can add to the same table. So it can all be done by just giving a topic and asking it to do this. But the free version has limits, like I told you, but that's how it works. There are more other tools. Here is one called, it's coming from the system called SciSpace. The tool is called typeset.io. The difference here is this tool, you can just upload a document. A document can be a paper, or a paper of yours, or paper of somebody else's, or just a document about some draft. You can upload it and ask these questions. You can ask it to explain some text. You can just highlight and ask to explain a text. So it can explain it better in a different way. You can ask it to summarize things. You also can ask it to get related papers, related other papers. So that's SciSpace. And the useful feature is this ask question feature, where you can just upload this and ask any question about a paper, right. So without reading everything about a paper, you can just upload and ask questions. And it also has the extract feature, where you can do, as you can see, when a paper is uploaded, multiple papers, a library of papers are uploaded, you can upload multiple files, and it can make a summary of papers that you have. You have, let's say, a collection of papers, you can upload them and ask all this information. This is useful even compared to something like what I said earlier. Practically is things like Elicit, particularly the free version, you don't have access to, or the tool doesn't have access to all the papers. You know, like papers that are behind paywall, you don't get access. The tools also don't get access. So they'll only be, if it is giving this information, it's giving it mostly from, if let's say one of these papers is behind a paywall, then or subscription, then what is coming here is only based on its abstract, because abstract is publicly available, right, not all information. So in situations like this, if you find the papers through some other means, using typeset is good, because you have the papers, you can just upload and it can analyze the papers on the go and give all this information about the papers. Right. So that way this is good. So you can see it can add columns, like popular columns are conclusion, summarized abstract, results, summarized introduction, literature survey of that in that paper, limitations, contributions, practical implications. In fact, like you can add all these columns to each paper PDF you upload, and you can compare them and so on. Right. So you can do a lot with those. Interestingly, what I explained all up to now are tools where you don't do a lot of this idea called prompting. We have not discussed anything about prompting, right. So we are not doing any prompting. We are just giving, although what the prompt that we are giving is more like keywords, like I told you earlier. In a situation like this, I am just asking a question. I am not putting a prompt, I am just putting a topic of the research. It is more like search, Google search type features. But if you are going to use, if you are going to use a generic AI tool like ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatever others, then you also have to worry about how to write better prompts, right. But the good part about, as you know, the generic tools is that tool like ChatGPT is that you can do more. You can ask anything you want. You can make a table the way you want. You can ask it to make not a table but a CSV file. I don't know. You can do anything else that you want, right. So that is good with tools like ChatGPT. But obviously you might also know tools like ChatGPT do lot of hallucination. If it is just ChatGPT, because ChatGPT knows everything, knowing everything is also a problem, right. So or knowing, thinking that it knows everything is also a problem, right. So it can be strong, like tell you things very convincingly that something is right while it is wrong, right. So because it has lot of information, it can bring things that we don't know, and then we might think, okay, maybe it's right, right. So it can happen. So that's a problem. So to avoid the problem, there are options. Now tools like ChatGPT has this thing called GPTs, you might know, right. So if I go to ChatGPT, there is the explore box or explore option. When you go there, you have GPTs. These are like custom build ChatGPT tools for specific purposes, right. So this is on the regular ChatGPT window. I hope all of you are familiar with. How many of you are not familiar with ChatGPT window? Nobody. Good. Yeah. So because they are looking at this like strange, what is this? Yeah. Right. So so this is the regular ChatGPT window, right, on the side, right. So when you say new chat, this is what you get. I hope you know this. And on the side in the menu, you also have one called explore. When you click this, this is where you end up, and you can find specific tools. Now there are thousands, maybe 100,000 of tools. You also can add your own tool. I hope you know you can create your own tool and add and make it public, make it somebody pay for it and so on. So here there are specific tools listed for research and analysis. So you can see there are tools listed for writing, productivity, programming, education, lifestyle and so on. So research and analysis, because we are talking about research, it goes to a list of tools here, research and analysis category, and you can see there are different tools, like you have to figure out which one is good, like for example 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝐴I, or if you see more, something has happened to it. So there are more tools, and there is another one called 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝗲𝗃𝗏. Right. So these tools specifically, let's pick one of them. If you pick 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝐴I, it has some description, and it's a specific GPT built on top of ChatGPT for research work. You can see this one says AI research assistant, search and review 200 million plus scientific papers, patents, blah blah. So that's from that is where it is from, and what it can do, all capabilities are also listed. So when you click here and start, now if you inside this window, I am in some place else, right? So inside this window, now we are in 𝗟𝗲𝘃𝐴I. Inside this window, if you ask questions, and the research papers it's going to list are going to come from these 200 million papers. It's not going to come from some generated artificially made papers. You know, like generally if you ask ChatGPT without a window like this, what you are getting are maybe some of them are real papers, some of them are just made up, right, hallucinated ones. So if you are within this, because it's built specifically for research, whenever AI or ChatGPT generates a paper, the paper is checked against the 200 million. If it is not one of those, it's not shown to you, it's thrown away, right? So therefore it's curated data results. So this sort of things you can do with tools like ChatGPT. There are some popular ones I just listed. By the way, I was just showing you some by browsing, but the same window you also saw it's possible to search. So it's possible here to search. So you can search for tools. So and find more tools as well. There are only few listed here. So you can see the list of tools, and you also can see something else here. You also can see how popular these tools are. The number here means that many people are using, right? So the more popular hopefully are better. We don't know for sure, but here this one is used by 900,000 people, 100,000, 2 million are using this, 100,000 are using it. So if there's a tool that is like built by you and listed here, if like somebody who is like only 10 people are using it, maybe it's not that reliable. So because it depends on who build the tools as well, right? In the sub tools as well. So you can decide on which one to pick, depends on what you want, plus how much usage that is there. So you get better better response. So that's another way, right? So you can either use a specific tool that I was listing, or you can use a generic tool like ChatGPT. Within that you can choose a research option to do better or reliable research, particularly literature survey and so on. So even for things like formulating research questions, like I said earlier, we can use these tools. right. So, I will not go into detail, but just wanted to highlight that it's possible to use generic tools like ChatGPT, Gemini or Claude and others for doing this formulating research questions where you would go beyond. So, where you can the literature survey will give you some data, you can take that data and go to the next step and do this. That is what we normally do in a research, right. So, after the search we can use. I will skip that. And I will show you one other tool which I did not talk about, is called 𝐶ite, and how it can be used.
In this demonstration, I will walk you through how you can use AI tools to design and refine a research question. So the first tool I'm going to demonstrate is 𝐶ite.ai. You can use this tool by going to the URL as displayed here. So this 𝐶ite tool is an AI-powered academic tool that helps you search for literature, analyze citations, and track research beyond your interest. So for demonstration purposes, I will input this particular prompt, which asks for a summary of research papers on generative AI usage in higher education in a global setting. So once I click the search button, it will generate a summary of most recent and relevant research data, including references. It also shows the search strategy used to generate this summary. You can also edit this search by changing the keywords used for the search, and also for each of these references out there, it shows the number of publications citing a particular work, the section from which reference is taken from, and whether how many of the statements in this particular summary is supporting the statements in this section, and number of citations that are just mentioned in this particular paper. So if you just click one of these links, you can get a more detailed description about the citations, references, and things like that. So using this tool, you can start a literature survey and get an idea about the scope of the literature out there for your particular domain. Now that we have a clear picture of the existing literature, we can now move on to framing our own research direction. So to get that assistance with this task, I will be using customized GPT provided by the application ChatGPT. You can access these customized GPTs using the URL shown here. So these customized GPTs are specialized versions of ChatGPT that are fine-tuned for different tasks, such as writing, productivity, research and analysis, and so on. For this particular task, I will use a custom GPT connected to the AI-powered research tool called Consensus to generate a focused research question, suggest a proper title, and help us with drafting survey questions, all tailored to the topic that we have been exploring through 𝐶ite. So to give a good idea about Consensus, it is an AI-powered search engine built specifically for academic research. So instead of just listing out a list of papers for a particular topic, it will extract and summarize evidence-based answers from peer-reviewed studies for a prompt that we give. So to start the chat connected to Consensus, you just simply have to click the button Start Chat, and it will direct you to a GPT powered by Consensus. So to start a chat, I will input a prompt. Once you insert the prompt, you will be prompted with allowing access to Consensus, and once connected to Consensus, it will give its answer with evidence backed by peer-reviewed articles. So you can simply click one of these articles and it will direct you
So that's one more tool that you can connect and use. I'll spend some time now talking about more things, right? So I was talking about literature review, idea generation. More that you can do is things like code generation that you can use these AI tools for. One of the things related to code generation, and when it particularly comes to research, is things like writing. Like for example, here is an example of writing equations and so on. Most of you who are using writing research papers would also be using things like LaTeX. Earlier times when you want to do LaTeX and when you want to write some nice equations like this, you had to spend a lot of time. Now you might be using things like 𝗏𝗏𝐿, but still if you want to write equations, you have to write these sort of things, right? So nowadays if you use this, actually is generated using ChatGPT, so you can write the equation like that and ask ChatGPT to generate the LaTeX markup for that equation, and you can just copy paste it to 𝗏𝗏𝐿 for some tool and you get the compilation done without any issue. But so such things are now possible with tools like ChatGPT coming into picture, and there is a lot more you can do, but in the interest of time I will not go through all of them. There are more if you are using tools like MATLAB, and most of the tools now has an AI in like a generative AI natural language processing interface added to it. One example is MATLAB. So MATLAB you might be using for a lot of research work or analysis and simulations and whatnot. MATLAB has what is known as AI chat playground. Nowadays it's possible for you to just talk to MATLAB or text with MATLAB and do most of what you have been doing earlier with writing code or like writing MATLAB scripts, right? So here is a big picture view, right? Say for instance, if you want to use MATLAB to generate some cluster, like do some clustering using some clustering algorithms like k-means. So now what you can do is you can just open MATLAB, ask a question. So there's a question that is asked, and the code for it is generated by this MATLAB AI chat playground, and you can just click in the code itself. There's a button you can click and you can run it, and it generates up to the graph, do the analysis and run, do the graph, generate the graph. So all that MATLAB can do. So and data, even if you don't use like MATLAB, but if you want to use data and you want to do something else like Python, you might be using to do different type of data driven insights analysis. Again we can, so where you can do things like cleaning data, descriptive analysis, predictive modeling, even just for visualization or doing things like correlation analysis. All this we have been doing, but we have been using some programs, right? But now there are simplified AI tools for doing all this. Here is a long list of tools. So that's a long list of tools that can do most of this data driven insights. I will just highlight a couple of tools, no specific reasons, I just am highlighting because there are too many. I will highlight Julius and PowerDrill, but there are many more as you can see, right? So I will skip that, right? In fact, like I think it's coming a little later, I will show the examples a little later, right? So and another tool that you might be familiar with is Google's Notebook-LM, very popular, getting more and more features as we go. In the version that is available for all of us, what Notebook-LM can do is we can upload a book or a document or a paper, and it can make a conversation of that paper, right? So here what I have done is I have just uploaded one of my favorite books called Atomic Habits, and this is what it does. I hope you know, but just in case for those who don't know, here is I have just uploaded a book, a PDF, and then Notebook-LM, a Google tool, free tool, it does this. In fact, like the Google Notebook-LM is getting improved, it adds lot more new features, but still not available to public.
All right, so you're ready to
become a habit expert?
Let's do it.
Well, strap in, because today we're doing a deep dive into Atomic Habits by 𝐏𝐫𝐀𝗄𝐿. It's a total game changer.
Yeah, and you know what makes 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗃's take on habits so powerful? It's not just some theory he came up with. It comes from his own life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he had.
All right. So you're ready to.
So I'll not go into further detail, but what I wanted to show this is very useful because it's, let's say I have a paper and I'm traveling and I want to read the paper, so I can't read the paper. So what I can do is I can give it to it. One is I can just give it to a tool that can just transcribe, right? So take the way or the other way around, like synthesize. So I can take the text, paper, and ask it to read. So it reads the paper, maybe very boring, depends on what it is. So here it synthesizes the paper or any document. Here it's a book, and it makes it into a conversation, two people talking about that topic and make it interesting, right? So here it's done for a book, but you can do it for any paper, and you can listen to the paper. It summarizes it into about like 20 minutes, and the conversation goes. And it's I have been doing this for some papers, and it's really interesting the way how they are done it. And the tool is so far free from Google. I was talking earlier about the two tools I will explain. One is PowerDrill. So what these tools do is this data analysis or various type of data insights. So PowerDrill is a tool that you can upload a document, basically a data like a CSV file or an Excel file sort of document, and you can ask questions. You can ask questions to generate things, and then it can go and answer those and generate information. I think I have a video about it. Maybe I just can quickly play that.
Consider that you have conducted a survey and you want to analyze the results. One of the most powerful AI tools out there to conduct this is PowerDrill. PowerDrill is an AI-powered data analysis tool which allows you to explore data sets, generate insights, and even get explanations and code for how the analysis is done, all in plain English. It's like having a data analyst and a Python coder rolled into one. To use this AI tool, first you have to visit the website PowerDrill AI as shown in the URL here. And once you are there, you can simply upload your Excel file containing the survey results. This can be done by simply dragging and dropping the file into the PowerDrill interface or using this upload button with the name Add File and choose a file from your computer. Once uploaded, PowerDrill will automatically show a short summary of the dataset. As you can see here, it shows a very accurate summary of the dataset, and also it gives some suggestions on useful questions you can ask based on the dataset. It also shows an option to generate a full report, which includes automated insights, visualizations, and key takeaways from the data. So if I click this generate report button, it will generate a fully fledged report containing details of the dataset and conducting analysis, generating different charts on the distribution. So you can download this report as a Word file, Markdown, or a PDF as well. Or else you can convert it to a presentation as well. PowerDrill can handle basic operations that you would typically do in an Excel sheet, like finding averages, counts, and filtering data. For example, if I input the prompt, what is the average level of genetic area familiarity among participants, it will conduct the analysis. As you can see, it gives the thought process it goes through to generate the result, including the Python code if it is using one, and the results are shown in a CSV file as well. So it gives the average familiarity as 3.01. Let's check if it is the correct one. This is the survey Excel sheet, and if I go to
Yeah, you can trust me, it is correct, and I'll skip that part. So she's also showing how the the Excel sheet we are doing the same calculation to see that it does the same thing. But yeah, that it can do. And one more tool is, I said 2 tools I'll introduce. Another tool is called Julius. Julius has some of these graphs and all nicely done, and so as you can see, it can again generate advanced analysis reports, graphs and charts. So you can make all sort of different type of charts by just clicking a button and uploading and clicking a button. As you can see, these are tools that are these are 2 tools I picked because they have a lot of users. Julius is used by 1.2 million users as per them, and PowerDrill is also used by millions of users. So and it makes our life easier in terms of analyzing and also answering. So you can see even you can generate codes in Python, R and so on if you want to use it somewhere else, or you can just there itself in the platform itself you can use those codes. So there are in fact there are few more tools. I'm not going to go through them or play them, but I included 2 QR codes of the latest discussion of some of those tools. I have added 2 QR code, one for 100% free academic tools. There are about 7 tools. These are other tools other than what I have. Okay, so the Rabbit is already there, but other tools are new. I have added some tools. These are free, all free. And here is another study or another YouTube video on about 20 plus tools, but he is ranking them. So ranking them from good to bad. There are plenty of tools. So if you are interested, you can keep those 2 QR codes scanned and watch them. They are small videos, about 15 minutes later, and use them to learn about more tools. If you are not there, if you had it not enough from my list, right? So those are about the good side and what we can do with these tools and how useful they are. But let me spend some time talking about some challenges and what we can do about them, because this is always a concern about the challenges. As you know, we have been discussing these tools or these systems are not good at logical reasoning, still not good at logical reasoning. So therefore, although they can pretend using language that they are good at logical reasoning, they are not in reality. So therefore, unless you specifically programmed and trained the data and trained the model to be good at a certain task, a certain logical reasoning task, it's not good. Here are some examples. These are again coming from research papers to show how bad they can be in logical reasoning. Right? So I will not go into the details, but there are enough examples. You can go and find simple mathematical problem which are a little more complicated, one more level up. They can't do well. They still can't do, the generic tools can't do well. The researchers have shown specific tools designed for certain things. Like I told you, they have shown that some tools can do better than the PhD research students on PhD questions. But those are specific tools built for specific purpose. The tools that we use normally, ChatGPT for example, can't do it because it's a generic tool. So those are things that we have to be careful about. One is logical reasoning. Other is obviously misinformation. As you know, there are enough and more problems related to things like deep fake and fake news. They can make, or we can make news and information which are not real but very much real like. It's possible to make with these tools, so that misinformation can be spread easily. That is a problem with these tools. More problems is the data that is out there in these tools, any tool that we are talking about, is generally outdated and also mostly biased, right? So what I mean by outdated is because these systems, like if you take something like ChatGPT, it's the latest model that it is using is GPT-5. GPT-5 is trained only a few times throughout the year, right? So it's updated not very regularly. Because a single complete update of a model, the expected cost for updating a full model is about $200 million. Updating a complete model of a system, it consumes about $200 million. DeepSeek says they have done it using some $5 million, right? Still it's $5 million, right? So it's a lot of money for doing a complete training of a model. Incremental training you can do, complete model it's like that. So GPT-5 if you want to do it's a lot of money. So therefore we don't, those who are doing training, they don't train very often. Therefore the data what these models have are not up to date, right? So it doesn't have latest data. So they are overcoming it by integrating the model with some search engine. So the search engine can search for the latest data and can connect it to the model, right? So that they are trying, but then the model itself doesn't have latest data. So that's one problem. The other problem is biased. Bias problem is a serious problem for countries like ours. If you are doing research, if you are doing work about Sri Lanka and anything, we don't have enough data. If you look at a world map of data, Sri Lanka might not be there in that map, right? So for AI, Sri Lanka or anything is a data map. AI knows countries, cultures, people through data, right? So Sri Lanka is not there in that map properly, right? So that is a serious problem, data, right? So but if you take a country smaller than ours, less populated than ours, like Singapore has more data, right? So they are on the map and we are not. So that's a problem, and that is the simple idea of bias. So what do we mean by that is, if you are looking for our data, it's not there. So what it's going to give as answers is somebody else's data, the more closer. Maybe there is some enough information from India, so it's coming from India and so on, right? Not our own data. So as researchers, most of you are, how do we solve it is by obviously we generating data, right? Particularly research data. So the problem that we have, like most of you might be doing research, our usual idea is, okay, data collection is a lot of trouble and we had to go through certain processes. The easiest option is to go and find data from some database, right? Whatever data you want. So let's say you are solving a problem related to some certain area, right? So let's say some medical, some health related. What you would do is you will go and find some data from a database where they are publishing this data, right? So what are we really doing by doing that? Yes, we are improving our research, we are maybe getting better, but we are not contributing to solving our problems. We are solving somebody else's problem. The data is put by somebody else, and why they have put that data is because to solve some problem, and we all are going and solving their problem. The best option, I also realized it very recently, about 5-6 years ago, right? So I have been doing research for the last 15 years with students, myself and so on, and we have been doing the same thing. But when recently we realized, okay, so this is not really working. We should start collecting our own data, although it's a lot more work. When you start collecting data, now I have a set of medical related and agriculture and various other data sets. We have put them out, and now the interesting thing is other people are coming and solving our problem, right? So the medical data that is related with our dental sciences faculty we have put out. Right now the data is used by about 120 research teams in the world, right? So it's a good thing, like it's a problem about oral cancer, and it's a specific oral cancer in this region. So others won't solve it because it's not their problem, and we also don't have data. So unless we put data, it won't happen. So why I am spending time telling you this is because you all are researchers and involved in it. Spend some time thinking about doing data related research, collecting data as part of your research work and putting that out. In fact, as you might also know, the research related to data can be published. There are enough and more high impact journals who publish data, Nature Scientific Data for example, and there are many others who publish data, how you collected data, how you curated it, and what's special about your data. If you write about it, you can publish a paper with the data set, right? So consider those as options. Why I'm talking the connection is, when you do it, hopefully we can reduce the biasness on these models, because when you put the data out to public, then these models can also get trained from our data, not just research data, the research language related, our local languages, all are part of it, right? But that is something that we can do, but that's a problem, and the solution is this. More issues related to data privacy, right? So we had to be careful about what we are sharing. Most of these tools particularly if the tools are free. As you might know, why they are giving it for free is to get your interaction, whatever you are doing with the tool, the data that you are putting into the tool, the prompts that you are putting into the tool, they are the ones that are used for training the tool further, right? So that's what the Google has been doing for several years or decades, and now the generative AI tools are also doing. So be careful with the data that you are sharing with the tools. Consider about it. Particularly in research, you might have some questions. I'll answer them at that time, but there are ways of doing it. So data privacy is, and being careful with research data is another problem. So what do we do about it? In fact, I already have mentioned a few things that we can do while we are talking about the data. I mean, while I'm talking about the problems, but I also have systematically listed down some considerations, right? One, if you are going to use these tools, make sure what is the purpose? What are we going to do with these tools, right? Hopefully the purpose is not to let one of these tools to do research and publish, right? Not one of these tools to do research and publish. We are talking about using AI tools for doing research. We don't want a tool to sit somewhere and do a research and publish and we don't do anything, right? So that's not the point. So it should be, so we have to be clear which part we are going to use the tools and what's the purpose. So we, like I was also showing you earlier, ChatGPT, so like OpenAI type platforms are also doing research and showing these tools can accelerate the work by 2-3 times. So, but if we still have the same amount of time to do a research, if you have an year to do a research, earlier in a year what you can do, now we can do it in half a year or less, right? So if you are spending 1 year, then maybe you can do double the amount of work. So if you are normally publishing a paper in a Q2 journal, maybe you can consider a Q1 journal, right? So if you are publishing in a Q1 journal, 1 paper, consider publishing 2 papers every year, right? So that is how things are going, right? So it's not like the AI tools are going to take care of everything, but understand the purpose and understand how we can use these tools to do better. And also understand that there are different tools for doing different things and there are different ways of using these tools. There are plenty of examples in the interest of time, and I want to give you some time for asking questions. I'll skip some of these details. And I also have listed down the factors to consider when adapting these tools. You have to be worrying about academic algorithmic transparency, how these tools work, whether the weaknesses in the tools, the strength in the tool, particularly when you want to do it for research, best performing tool categories. These are things that you have to consider. Cost and pricing is also one of the factors. So these are things that you can consider. In fact, like I took this from a research article on how we can adapt a tool for our research, or one or many, right, any number of tools. And always remember this aspect, duty of verification we call it, or human in the loop we call it. Even very popular publishers, research journals failed doing this sort of things for various reasons. As you might know, there are people which are retracted in the last year, particularly because there were things that are generated by, like for example, here is one introduction start with saying certainly here is a possible introduction to your topic. Obviously we know it's coming from some ChatGPT like tools. The excuse the researchers gave was something else, but anyway, so these sort of things can happen. So make sure we verify, right? So we verify to maintain our credibility and also to maintain the credibility for research. And also make sure that the things like plagiarism, maybe we can answer, I'm sure they are going to be in the question, so I'll answer them at that time. Particularly if you take journals, conferences and also publishers, they are talking about allowing AI generated content as long as AI is not considered a co-author. And here is one guideline where they have listed 14 different tasks, and out of which only a few that where AI can really make sense and are not in other places, right? So those are things that we can also think about, like where to use and how to make it effective usage, right? So those are things that there are enough resources you can go and find, you can use them. Sorry. So just to conclude, Things like if you want to write a paper, do some research, there are guidelines. Now to the guidelines we are adding more, right? We are adding tools, we are adding AI tools. So those tools can come and help, but still we had to do a lot more work. We still had to understand the process, because the individual step of the process, there is no tools to come and tell you everything, right? So the tools are there, but then you have to understand the process, you have to understand the purpose, and then you can use these tools. There are also a lot of articles like this. In fact, I took this screenshot from LinkedIn post. They are talking about how to accelerate research by 10 times on various aspects, and the prompts you can find many of these sort of places. And in fact, sometimes this number is true, like I was also telling you, certain things you can do really fast, but the challenge comes when you want to verify, when you want to make sure they are right, when you want to make sure they are credible, when you want to make sure that you want to put your name under it, right? So there are enough and more challenges there, you still have to worry about them. So this again coming from another LinkedIn post. I think I have already listed these tools. These are coming from the generative like ChatGPT plugins. I think I already was showing you that. I'll skip those slides and I'll finish with this slide. This is on this is coming from the World Economic Forum. They are talking about the core skills for 2025. In fact, it's a list of 26 on this graph, and particularly you can see some of the skills which are like in the first 10 I just have highlighted, and most of them are related to someone who is doing research, acquire or develop, analytical thinking, resilience, flexibility, agility, leadership, creative thinking, motivation, self-awareness, curiosity, lifelong learning, literacy on anything like technology, active listening. So these are things that you can see. The even World Economic Forum talks about the core skills, and also they are talking about like 2030 what we think are the skills that are going to be still very relevant, and they have listed these down after a lot of survey. So it's based on surveys anyway, but it's a good idea to focus on these and making sure these are still with us while we are using these tools, so that we can still maintain the credibility of the process and also the research itself. I just have summarized a few tools here, and particularly to tell you that there are different tools for doing different things, and generic tools won't help in everything, and specific tools are the good way to go for specific things. And if you are using generic tools, you might be using those particular plugins and so on, so that you can do things better, right? So that's just a summary of a few tools that I have highlighted. With that, I'll close. Thank you very much for listening and having me, and I'm happy to take few questions.
Very excellent presentation. I think we have to deal with this with you all universities as well. Anyway, that paper is around 40, how generate prompts.
Yeah, I skipped those prompt generation slides. In fact, I do a complete session on prompting. Maybe I can just go quickly and just highlight.
Just show it.
Yeah, I'll.
So they allow the AI generated things in the research paper.
Yeah, they do.
But in the university, we don't.
Depends on the university, I think. In fact, like talking about university, maybe I can share like our, we are trying few things, like for instance, the final year project in our courses, in our program, I'm coordinating the computer engineering final year project for the last 2 years. We have allowed them to use generative AI tools, but we have, there is something called this AI assessment scale. It is a research done by some US universities, and they have published some papers on how to assess any work when AI is in it, right? So there is like they have a 5 scale system. The lower scale is, let me find that slide and then I'll tell you about it. So the lower scale is when there is no AI at all, and the highest is when there is completely AI integrated. So we are allowing our students to follow a scale number 3, which is very similar to most of the publishers. Elsevier, Springer, Taylor and Francis, all of them are accepting level 3. So we are saying, okay, level 3 you can do, meaning they had to be transparent about the usage, and okay, see here, yeah. Yeah, so prompting, these are some things about prompting that are important, like we had to be clear of the objective. In fact, nowadays what I am also doing is what is known as this meta prompting. Basically, you can ask something like ChatGPT for a prompt, right? So you ask in a prompt for a prompt, right? So let's say you are going to do a literature survey, and you say, okay, this is how do you do an extensive literature survey on a certain topic. You can ask ChatGPT, give me a prompt to do a systematic proper literature survey. So it will give another prompt. So you use that prompt again. So 2-step process, right? So where most of these things will be included, because it knows how to do a good prompt, because it's trained on doing so. So these are things that like a consideration for prompts, and I think I have some examples on the next slide here. So examples like clarity, bad prompt, and better prompt, where you like a bad prompt can be write something about tech and security. A better prompt, this is not the best prompt, but a better prompt can be generate a report on emerging trends in cybersecurity technologies, time, space, like give more background and so on, right? And be specific, feasibility, whether it's possible, ethical boundaries. So I had just given some examples of prompts. Yeah, but nowadays I can show you some examples where, okay, recently I asked this question from ChatGPT, because I also had this, now the latest version of ChatGPT has, you know, like it has, even if you take GPT-5, it has multiple versions, the mini, the pro, and all that. And also we have things like deep research, and we also have, as you might know, study and learn. So different features you have, right? So which one to use when? How do we use it? But what are the differences? Things like, we know like the pro is more on analytical side, but it's not good at data. Generally the general things are not, it's not factually correct. So factual correctness comes from a tool like that deep research. So deep research goes and find other places, resources. So if you want to, let's say if you want to prepare, let's say we are going to prepare a lecture note, or we are going to prepare on a paper. Let's say a lecture note for the sake of sanity, right? So we are preparing a lecture note, and if you want to prepare a lecture note has to be logical, structural, but also factually correct, right? So when you want to do it, how do you do it using a ChatGPT like platform, right? So where you had to combine multiple things. So you had to first, like, to have a logically structured thing, you don't have to do deep research. Deep research is to go and find sources. Right? So deep research actually will not give you a logically structured answer. It will give a lot of different things, but deeply analyzed and found the genuine reliable resources. So you had to combine something like GPT, like Pro, for example. GPT-5 Pro is something that can give what you call a structured answer, logically meaningful sort of. And then you have to combine it with deep search. So you have to go in an iterative fashion. Start with one, get some answer, go to another one, do more research, find some answer from there, bring them together. So that's how you can make a systematically correct or like a correct lecture note, right? So you can't do it by just using one tool or one site. So these are things, this is what I meant earlier also. You have to understand how these tools work, what they do, and use it in a combination. So if you want to do more research, if you want to find research papers, then you have to do one of those plugins I was showing you, like Scholar AI or something. So you have to combine these things together to make a proper correct output. On top of all that, we also have to keep an eye on all this, what it is generating. In fact, like interestingly, when we ask such questions from ChatGPT like platform, it gives these answers. And also it every time tells you, make sure you are looking at the right, whether it's correct or wrong, right? So I hope you have noticed, even I have a pro version, and somewhere at the bottom it says two things. So it says two things. One is ChatGPT can make mistakes. That's one side, so be careful, right? So the second one it says is, so I'm using a workspace. OpenAI doesn't use Roshan Ragal's workspace data to train its models, right? So so that's like, if you are using free version, this second part is not included. Like if you are uploading somebody's paper, it's going to be used for training, right? So if you are running a conference and there are papers people submitting, manuscripts people submitting, if you put it there, it's going to be access to everybody. You should not do that, because people are giving you paper in confidence for you to review and return it back to them, right? So we have to be careful about those things. But I can do it, like if you pay and do, then I mean, in fact, like even journal publishers are telling not to use any tool for review. They are not talking about writing. Writing, yes, you can use. A certain parts you can use. You have to be transparent. For review, so far, all publishers saying no. Don't use AI tools for reviewing papers. That is what the publishers are saying. The main reason they are giving is this. It can be used for training, which means the paper is given to you in confidence as a reviewer or as an editor or a conference organizer. So you can't share it with others except for the reviewers. Their reviewers are taking it again in confidence, so that they will not give it to anybody else. They will return it back. They won't steal the ideas and whatnot. Right. So that's where we are. Yeah. Questions? Sorry. Yeah. So in fact, even the plus version, so I'm using what is known as a team, like a group version. Plus version or pro version, plus version, yes. Plus version, I'm not exactly sure. You have to go and look at. This version, it doesn't, at least OpenAI claims that they don't take our data for training or anything. Right, so if OpenAI, if the AI tool is taking our data for training or anything, then there's a problem. By the way, it's not going to be reproduced the same way, because the document you submit or anything you submit is not going to be reproduced the same way. So apparently, like there are a lot of even court cases. Big companies, AI employees have put data for asking questions and so on. Some of those things are very proprietary. Nobody knows, like company secret, trade secrets. They are put out and they have come out somewhere else when somebody else asks. So now they know that it's like it's put by somebody because it's a trade secret. Nobody knows, right? So somebody has put such documents to ask some questions. They put the document so that they can ask a question and make it easier. So the answer is yes, right? So you have to be careful when you are putting things up.
Sir, I have another question. It's regarding that you said nowadays we have the limited data sets to do particular researches. Some people follow through some way like data augmentation or something. Do you think it's the right way to get any research outcomes, especially when it comes to medical researches or something? We don't have so much data to be processed, so we do data augmentation, sometimes do modifications and do for convolutional neural network, those type of researches. So do you think it's a fine way to do when we don't have this data sets?
So two parts to that answer. One, yes, ideally if you can get more data, that is better. But if you are starting with our data and doing some augmentation because you want certain algorithms to do something faster, better, it's okay. But then you are starting still with our data. But if you are starting with somebody else's data and doing augmentation, you won't anyway get our data, right? So if you are starting with our data, let's say we have some limitations, we can collect only a small amount of data, which can be used in certain models. Certain models can't work because they need a minimum, like that depends on the model, right? So certain models need a minimum amount of data points so that they can perform. So in situations like that, such augmentation might help. Meaning like what are we doing is we are taking a data set and finding some variations within. Augmentation is doing that, variation within. That is okay, meaning we are expanding the variation. Right? In fact, like there are big companies who have shown, I hope you know there's a popular company bought by Meta or someone called 𝗟𝗲𝐴𝐼. What they have done is they have built AI tools that can generate or augment data very realistic. As realistic as possible, they claim, and they are bought in millions of billions of dollars, and therefore they must be good. Right? So that is one recent company that was bought by a bigger company. So meaning like augmentation seems to be working in certain situations. Right? So to improve or make some variations of the existing data. Right? So therefore it's okay, but if augmentation start with some data we already have. Right? Oh, I hope I answered. No question. Good, thank you.
Thank you, sir. As we came to the end of this wonderful program, I have the pleasure of saying thank you to everyone on behalf of the Arthur C. Clarke Institute for Modern Technologies. First, my sincere thanks to Professor 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏. Professor, your talk on leveraging AI for research innovations was truly inspiring. You shows us how AI can change the way we do research. Your practical examples and clear explanations have given us new ideas and tools to improve our work. Thank you for taking the time from your busy schedule to share your knowledge with us. I want to thank the organization committee of ECRISA 2026 to planning this excellent program alongside our international conference. You have given us a great opportunity to learn and grow. Thank you to our chairman, Director General covering up duties and management of our institute for supporting this program and always encouraging research and learning. My thanks to all the participants here today. Your involvement made this session lively and interesting. Your presence shows your dedication to improving your research skills. I want to thank our support team and volunteers who work hard to make everything run smoothly today. The knowledge we gain today will help us in our future research. Let us use what we learn to make positive impact in our fields. Once again, big thanks to you to Professor 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏 and to all of you for making this program successful. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to invite our respected chairman, Professor Chandana Jayaratne, to the stage to present our token of appreciation to our guest speaker, Professor 𝗟𝗲𝗃𝗏𝗏. May I request both Professor Jayaratne and Professor 𝗟𝗏𝗃𝗏 to please come forward.
I would like to say that we have in Arthur C. Clarke Institute we have professor posts, and also if you like to get a consultant, like when I see his expertise, we pay actually. That's the scheme.